Good morning and welcome to Journey of Crafting. Today I'm going to show you how to make a binding system to combine our pages to our cover. If you're interested on the pages, the videos will be listed down below. If you're interested in the cover, that will also be listed down below. So what I did is, this binding system is not my idea. I do not know where it came from or who originated it. It is all over the internet and it works really, really well. So the first thing that I did was I grabbed a 8.5 by 11 cardstock. This is a 65-pound weight. Now what I'm going to do is, and you can alter this in variations of measurements to fit your particular needs. So the first thing that I did was I scored at 1/4 inch. Then I moved to 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, then 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/4 inch. So you guys see the pattern here? It's 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. And you go through your entire paper like this. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, where am I at? 1/2 inch, sorry, I lost where I was, and 1/4 inch. Now we're going to not do this end part here because it's excess and it's not going to complete a fold. And I will show you guys what I'm talking about with that. So we're done with the scoreboard for now. We're just going to set this aside. I'm going to go ahead and trim off this excess piece here. And I'm going to trim it right here on the score line. As soon as I get it straight. There we go. And we're just going to set this aside. You don't need this right this second. Actually, yeah, we're going to go ahead and trim this down. So, if you guys look, this is way too long for our cover. So, if you guys remember, our cover should be 4 3/4 tall, and it is. But we're going to make this 4.5 inches tall. And what that's going to do is it's going to give just a little bit of a border right here on the top and a little bit of a border right here on the bottom. Okay? And basically it's just going to make the binding seam sharp and clean. So we're going to cut this down to 4.5. And we're going to do this before we do any folding. Because if you try to cut this after you folded it, it's going to be interesting. Now I just flipped it over because the paper is naturally trying to curve the other direction. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 of these just in case. We're going to cut this at 4.5. And now we have 2. And if you guys make albums or flip books or anything, keep your scraps. So this is what we have. Okay, we have 2 pieces of paper that are scored at 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. So this is what I'm going to do. Every line right here is going to be attached to the spine. Okay, every line right here is going to be attached to the spine. Now there is a score mark in between. I forgot one. There's a score mark in between each of these lines. It's in between the 2 1/2 inch marks. What we're going to do is we're going to take that 1/2 inch mark and we're going to fold it up, and then we're going to fold the tape. Actually, we're going to do it this way because I colored on this. I want to make sure that's where the tape goes. So this is what this should look like. Okay, so we have the little 1/2 inch on either side here and here. And now we have a 1/4 inch mark here, and we have a 1/4 inch mark here. We're going to keep doing that. Okay, so now we have 2 bindings, and we're just going to keep going. Okay, I'm going to keep doing this. And once everything is all said and done, you should have pages, or you should have flaps so you can adhere your pages. Now, depending on how large your album is, how many pages did you put in your album? That's how long you want to make this. And remember earlier I said I'm going to cut another one just in case, because I don't know how many flaps this is going to make. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I actually need 2 more. So this is what this looks like when this is folded the way it's supposed to be folded. Okay. Alright. So that's what that looks like. Okay. Now, I'm going to add 2 more. I need 2 more of these 1/2 inch flaps like this. So I'm going to just fold up 2. And I am going to cut right here on this 1/4 inch just outside the mark here. So what this does is it gives me 2 extra flaps. Okay. And just for good measure, I will mark these where the tape is going to adhere to the cup, or to the spine. Okay. Now what we're going to do is all of those 1/2 inch marks, those flaps that we just created, we're going to adhere them together. And I'm going to show you on the smaller piece so it'll be easier to see. So if you unfold this slightly, you will see the silver line here and the silver line here. These are your 1/4 inch markings. What you're going to do is you're going to adhere the 1/2 inch sides, the inside, together. So you're going to put 1 strip of tape here. You're going to pull it up. You're going to fold it over. Okay? And so you end up with that. Now I'm going to do that one more time. And you can use whatever kind of adhesive that you want here. You can use a wet glue, you can use a dry glue, you can use score tape, you could use a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. I actually do have 1/2 inch, but I don't know where it's at. I think it's in my drawer underneath my table. So this is what this looks like now. Okay, so we have our 3 markings here, and we have our 2 flaps here. Okay. Now, we're going to keep doing this, and if you guys want to mark them just like I did here, that is probably not a terrible idea. Just make sure that where you mark it, that's where you put the tape to adhere it to the spine, because everything else will be very visible. So when we flip this over, once we've attached it to the spine, you'll be able to see the part, the other side of the part that's attached to the spine. I feel like I'm saying the word spine like 85 times. Okay, so right now all I'm doing is I'm laying down all the tape first. And I'm only using 1 piece because, I mean, you just don't need to use a piece on both sides. You just need to pull it on one. So make sure you push your tape. If you're using score tape or double-sided tape, make sure that you push down to adhere it to that first piece of paper. Now you just take your backing off. I'm only going to do one at a time. And the reason that we folded this to begin with is so it will be easier for you to do this process here. You do not need to fold it first, then unfold it, then tape it. I personally like it that way just because it makes the paper more manageable. And our last one here. Okay. And that is that. Okay. Now, you might be asking, how do we connect this to this? Well, that's pretty simple. So, you remember how we have this quarter inch flap here, and I made sure to cut both 1/4 inch here and here? All you're going to do is you're going to put a piece of tape, glue stick, whatever. I would not use glue stick. You're making an album, so you want to make sure that it is secure. So we're going to take the bottom part here, just the end flap, and we're going to connect it right here, right where this score tape is. So we're going to take the backing off, and we're going to line it up. We're going to line it up. And we're going to push. And be careful if you use score tape. That stuff doesn't like to come up if you mess up. A good trick that I've seen, Miss Genevieve of Genevieve Designs, she uses a neat little trick. When she puts the score tape down, she will use a glue stick to run over top of it. That way it gives it a little bit more time to mess with and play with and whatnot. Alright, so now that we have this, what we're going to do is we're going to attach this to this. We're not going to glue it though. We're going to score tape it. And I'm going to put score tape on each one of these little backs that have a silver marking on it. And the reason I'm going to do that is because this is the spine. It needs to have as much security as possible. And so I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm actually going to move this out of the way just a little bit. I'm actually going to keep doing this, and I will be back here. Now, before I take the backing off and adhere it to our spine here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the corners of these flaps here. So they're going to look like this. Okay, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to trim right up to this score mark here. So I'm just going to take this and go snip and do the same thing right up. You're just going to make a diagonal line. Instead of that squared edge, you're going to make a diagonal edge. Get off my scissors. Just like that. Now what that's going to do is with this particular album, I don't think it matters as much because my pages are a little bit, you know, mobile. They're flexible and whatnot. But with other albums, you want to make sure that you do this, especially if you're making an album out of just paper and you're not using the paper bags, which are more flexible than the paper, then you want to make sure to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do is, this doesn't quite add up to 3 inches, and that's okay. But what we're going to do is, get off of there. So we're going to kind of eyeball it. This is where earlier I said Miss Genevieve Designs uses glue stick. This is where she would use glue stick to make sure that the spine is straight. I don't think I've ever tried using glue stick as well as the score tape. I know she does all the time. If you haven't checked out her channel, I would check out her channel because she's really quite talented. She comes up with really great designs for albums and such. That's actually where I started wanting to do albums more, is because I watched her channel. She also uses a spine like this. I think Made It by May also uses a spine like this. Kathy, I think something, I forget, I haven't watched her channel in a minute. Okay, so we're just going to eyeball this, and we're going to try to center it as best we can. And it looks good. Now we're just going to push all of these pieces down. We're going to go in between our flaps, and we're going to push down in between each one and push. Okay. Now we are able to decorate the covers completely. So the covers are going to be exactly the same way as I did these covers. You're just going to, instead of adding an inch, you're going to subtract an inch. Or not subtract an inch. Subtract, well, it depends if you want to do half an inch or if you want to do a full. And honestly, you could just eyeball this. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to take it here. And I'm going to go ahead and cover this with you guys, because it's not going to take very long at all. So I'm going to find my little piece here. And I'm going to put that there. And I think this might be big enough. Yep, perfect. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put these here. And basically what I just did was I used the spine paper here on the inside as well. So I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac. You could also actually, no, I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac. I was going to say you could probably use like your ATG, but being that it's the cover, I want to use something really, really strong. So I'm going with the Fabri-Tac. And you just want to try to make this as straight or even as possible. Okay, there's that one. Now we're going to do this side here. Same thing. Just dump on some glue. Try to get in the corners. And flip over. Now the way that these design, or the way this design is going, it's actually not matching up completely with the spine. And honestly, I'm okay with that, because if you guys have watched any of my channels before, or any of my channels, I only have one channel. If you've watched any of my videos before, then you know that the asymmetry is okay with me. So this is it so far. We need 2 more pieces here, and I think I might be able to do this. And actually, I might just do the black. Okay, so I'm going to grab a black piece of paper. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I grabbed my piece of paper, my trimmer, and my roller. So if you measure this from this score mark until the edge of the paper, it's 5 inches. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut this paper 5 inches. And we are going to make it 4.5 inches tall. So let's go here and make this, I don't think either way this is going to work. Alright, so I was just thinking to myself that I might be able to pull 2 pieces out from one cut, but I can't do that because the measurements don't add up right. So this is going to be 4 inches and this is going to be 4.5 inches. So I have to cut it again. That's okay. So there's 5 inches and 4.5 inches. Yeah. Okay. Alright, set this aside. Don't go too far with it because we are going to make one more cut. And we're going to, sorry, I put that the wrong direction. we're going to put this here. Okay. And we're just going to put some glue on this side here. Now, like I said before, this glue is really thick, so you have to give it some oomph to get it out. Alright, that's the wrong direction. Okay. Alright, so I cut this part. It was, again, not straight, so I had to, like, I very rarely cut things straight. It's honestly surprised that anything comes out the way I want it to. So we're gonna let this dry for a minute, but we do want this to crease up. So we're going to use our bone folder and we're going to push against the opening here. Don't cut the paper like I almost did. And basically we're just going to try to give the paper a little bit of give. And actually I don't think I am going to cut another piece of paper. I like this just the way it is. That's it. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so that is it for the cover and the spine. Let's see, how long is this video? 26 minutes. So yeah, in the next video I'm going to show you how to attach and finalize the pages, and that will be the end of the series for the construction of the album. Everything after this will be just decoration of the daily album itself, whether it's decorating the cover, decorating the pages, this, that, and another. So far I plan to do one video a week showing you week by week of the daily. That way I'm not videoing or recording every single day, and it would just become very monotonous and probably boring for you guys. So I'm just going to do a week at a time. So anyway, like I said, that's it for this video. I got the cover completely done and the spine is completely done. And the next video I will show you guys how to put the pages into the book itself. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. Until next time, bye guys.